Welcome to the new episode of Startup Biz Talks. Today with me, I have Alexander Zahari from Edventures. Welcome, Alexander.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure having you here. To be honest, I have spoken like for hours with Alexander, and I'm just very excited to share what he's doing with everyone. I find it super interesting, and I'm definitely one of the people trying the first thing that comes out. So, would you like to tell me more about Edventures?
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect.
So Adventures is an impact edtech startup, and we develop a personalized entrepreneurship learning and guidance app. And that might sound a bit fuzzy, but what we really do is to provide conversational AI to help budding entrepreneurs, to coach them, provide them with information and learning experiences, basically. And our aim is to basically make entrepreneurship more accessible to anyone who has a business idea.
And the truth is that it's extremely expensive to afford mentorship, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship and business. Plus, the market is full of people who are sometimes just selling courses, or they're selling education that's not necessarily reliable information in it. So to me, it seems like an incredible new way to utilize AI, and I would love to learn why you started doing it. What was the initial thing that got you there?
Yeah, so this story goes way back, to be honest. It starts really when I did a company program in high school. And it was me and three other guys who did a math book, more explanatory math book. We printed 100 books. We managed to sell 80 of these. And when we had to cancel, what do you call it? Cancel the company or finish the program. I wanted to continue on this momentum that we had, and so I went to the ecosystem, the supporting ecosystem, basically, and asked for support from different organizations. What they really didn't provide was the support that I needed. So a lot of coaches were like, "Yeah, but no one's gonna want to buy a digital math book. Why do you want to make this a digital math book?" And this was in 2011. So that's kind of where it started, like the kind of initial frustration of not having access to the support that I needed, and having difficulties finding that access. So then fast forward, it just been a long journey since then. Just trying to figure things out, but yeah, it all started back then, and I've been working on other ideas to kind of provide this support as well. Yeah,
of course. So you have been working on this project for how long?
So it's been since the first ideas in 2017, but the first, I would say, 5 years of working the idea have been in different iterations. It started out as more like a learning platform, like an information portal. Then quite quickly we realized, okay, we need to make something more intuitive, something that has more dialogue. So we shifted to chatbots. It's been like a technical development also with chatbots, as well as, of course, our own journey and understanding of how to use these technologies. So up until end of 2022, I would say, was kind of like the first sandbox, a learning phase of our development. So then we repositioned ourselves in last year, rebuilding the prototype. And then now we just recently soft launched the prototype like 2 weeks ago.
That would be my next question. So I wanted to ask like at which phase you're currently, but before we go there, I think it's nice to get to know you a little bit better. So how about you tell me like a little bit about your background? So not necessarily academic, but more experiential probably background. And I understand that since you've been in this industry of entrepreneurship, you have had your like intense moments. So maybe a moment that was like pivotal for you in your journey.
I would say I would go back to this first experience, basically. So I was super excited to run this entrepreneurship program at the final year of high school. And I picked the high school depending on the quality of their entrepreneurship learning quality of the program. So not having, building up all these expectations and being so pumped up, just like get going after graduation, like, yeah, we have some momentum, we can build on this. And not having this support that you kind of expect from
Yes.
supporting the entrepreneurship ecosystem was definitely a pivotal moment. I think without that experience, I don't think I would have had the same sort of trajectory in my life. But to talk also about your other part of the question, so I have a bachelor's in what do you call it? Bachelor of Science in Economics. Majored in organizational administration. I did my so I've been working ever since basically that company program. I've been involved in a lot of different entrepreneurship ecosystems and communities, both in Sweden, internationally, Southeast Asia, India, some parts in Africa as well. But it's been a constant journey of just learning the different challenges of entrepreneurs in different places. That would be like the yeah.
And I think that at this point, I would like to get a little bit closer to the concept of adventures when it comes to what's the problem that it's solving. Because to me and my entrepreneurial journey and the educational part of my entrepreneurial journey has not been only hard when it comes to finding a good mentor, wherever, whether you pay them or not. My biggest hardship, let's say, was to sync with this mentor or this program and get a very personalized and tailored approach to the thing that I want to build, and tailored solutions to how I want to proceed and what I want to make. So what's exactly the thing that Adventure is offering, and literally anything you want to tell me about it.
Yeah. No, but because you're touching on exactly what we're trying to address as well, because there's so many different types of support. But the support that exists is either like time-based, it's limited within like in a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Do a course or a program for a week or a few months maybe, but then you're back to square one in a sense. Hopefully you're going to learn something in that program, whether it's free or if you paid for it. So we address basically lack of access to entrepreneurship information and coaching. We address the continuity of it, like, so you need something that is continuous.
Yeah.
And you also need something that is more accessible overall, not just that it's online, but that you can actually access the information that is in there. And if you take, for example, incubators and accelerators as one part of the ecosystem, then you kind of like in 19 out of 20 entrepreneurs only like don't get accepted to these organizations, and those make up the bulk of the whole supporting ecosystem.
Yes.
So that's kind of the people that we want to those are the people that we build the service for, basically. Everyone who has a business idea, who wants to get started on this journey. That's what we're targeting.
I think the fact that you are addressing about continuity would be probably the biggest problem, because everyone is changing from one incubator to another, from one program to another, and every time you need to reestablish the information that you're putting in there, you need to do the input procedure again. You need to explain the idea right from scratch. And this is not only time consuming, but it's also very tough mentally, because you feel that you need to continuously prove a point, and you never like take it from where you left it the last time. And these things are for like 3 months or so usually.
Yeah, exactly. But also like you don't really have a track record of what you've been doing, or what you've learned over this time. Like say you've been a part of a few programs, that you don't really have something to show for, other than like, yeah, I was a part of this program. Okay, but what did you actually learn? What did you like? What did you work with?
There's no clear deliverable and output out of this.
Exactly, and that's one of that's again another benefit that comes with our feature. Like you kind of, by using our service, you build a track record as you're using the service, of course, as it's all digitalized. So and this data is important also for coaches, of course, to be able to understand how the entrepreneurs that they are meeting, how they have been performing, how they have been developing.
Exactly.
And so we're not building only for entrepreneurs, we're also building a service for coaches that work within this entrepreneurship, within the ecosystem.
Thank you for sharing. And I should point out that a very interesting aspect about Edventures is the fact that it highlights the educational platform aspect.
Yes.
And when you have an educational platform whatsoever, whatever for, it might be a language that you're learning, you have a board that reports back and says, hey, this month you learned this and this and that. And like we said before, this is not something that you get with an accelerator, and you don't get any sort of certification that you were there attending, getting something out of it.
Yeah, fair enough. But you have some sort of like, maybe there are articles written about you that they can show for, like, yeah, I've been a part of this program. And then you have the connections, of course. So there are benefits to an accelerator, but the stuff that you don't get is just this continuity, and you don't get the kind of unlimited access to the information that is out there. That it's a different type of need for it as well. And the majority of entrepreneurs who are looking to get support don't get it at all. And that's kind of the big issue here as well.
The big issue, yeah.
And if you want to tie it into a bigger context, it's also like addressing unemployment, in a sense that, and underemployment, because the younger generations, like mine and younger generations, and yours as well, of course, it's like the values around work are changing, and have been for quite some time. People don't want to work in the same company for ages.
Yeah, exactly.
Work for themselves.
Many people are turning into solopreneurship. Many people are trying to. It's harder to build a team, so many people are just thinking about starting something on their own, and this would be a great tool. And so how does it work? Like, what's the business model? How does it function? Like,
so it works. The easiest way of thinking of it is it's a conversational AI model. So basically, it's an AI model that you chat with to get the support and information that you need, tailored to your business idea, your needs, and your goals. And gradually, as you chat with it, of course, it's going to get more and more personalized, because that's the difference toward, like, say, any other language model that is out there. That are more generalized, because we do also the prompting, we do a lot of curation around this model that you don't get otherwise. And of course, a lot of people who are just learning about ChatGPT, for example, don't know the prompting itself, because prompting is a big part of acquiring the knowledge that is in this model. So that is the main essence of it. And when it comes to the business model, we target initially, so we're B2B2C at this stage. We target organizations that work within the ecosystem. But we also, of course, want to access entrepreneurs. So instead of going to entrepreneurs saying, hey, pay us for this service, we go to the organization saying, hey, pay us for how many entrepreneurs that are connected to your organization. But at the same time, pay us for the coaches that are in your organization, because there are benefits for the coaches too.
Of course.
Get the insights from the entrepreneurs.
Great. Thank you. So you said that you recently launched a version of the prototype, not necessarily the final product, but
Yes,
would you
exactly.
like to share things about it?
Yeah, so we soft launched the prototype 2 weeks ago, and it's been like right now we just have the conversational AI model that we have made available. We're still working on finishing the feature, and so far we're in a stage of doing close testing. If you're a person, you probably know what it is, but close testing basically means that you want to keep the access to the prototype limited to basically
get feedback for its functionality.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for
See,
taking
my
the
English is better today. Great. Okay, so yeah, I received a link to be in this team, and I still haven't utilized it properly.
That's
But
for the weekend. That's for the weekend.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. So, when are you expecting for it to be launched? Like
fully launched.
legitimately?
That's a good question, but hopefully by the end of this year. I've listened to a podcast not too long ago, like it's a podcast about or for product managers, and one of the advice that they were giving, or like one of the people who said it, like, I hate giving. Setting a deadline or setting expectations for a specific date, because then you always overshoot. But yeah, it's I think realistically speaking, we would have a full MVP by the end of this year.
Yeah, it's a good estimation. I mean, you're not hurrying too much, and at the same time, you're not saying like, yeah, by the end of spring we're gonna be ready. Okay, I think we could be speaking for hours, so I'm gonna try to be a little bit more specific from now on, so that we cover all topics needed. I would like to dive a little bit in the product market fit. So you told me the customers that you're targeting mostly. Is there a final ideal avatar persona that you would like to work with in the end of the day, like when the product is fully functional? And
fully functional, it would be any entrepreneur basically that is starting out. But at this stage, the preference user that we have is entrepreneurs, like budding entrepreneurs that are just starting out basically.
Yeah.
It can be anything from like 16 to 18 up to, mid 30s, I would say. But you have limited experience and exposure maybe to entrepreneurship. That's also why the educational focus is important to us at this stage, to provide relevant technology to people who are on the same level, like just starting out.
Yeah. And do you have any relevant feedback from the test that you're currently running that would make sense to share?
So there's been mostly positive, thankfully. But it's still like it's just been 2 weeks so far. I think there's a lot more to evaluate. There's also a lot of things that we haven't been able to act upon just yet.
Yeah.
But we have feedback that we're like, okay, we know a bit more what we need to improve as well. So yeah, and part of it, like as it is now, and we definitely need to implement more, smartness into the model, and how we prompt and how we curate the experience, of course. Then it comes down to also UX, UI implementation. Right now it's a web app. We plan on launching native apps later on. I don't have a deadline or a date for that.
I wouldn't ask. I wouldn't ask.
Back to you.
Okay, so what markets are you targeting?
So because of this, we're looking at how mature the ecosystems are. And at this stage, we don't really see the relevance of focusing on Northern Europe, for example, or the US, even though we would love to have, users from there.
Yeah.
But at this stage, we want to target. We think we know there's a bigger need in markets that are more developing, like emerging markets, but with large young populations. and English-speaking ones as well. So India is a great example of this. Entrepreneurship is booming. The entrepreneurship levels are like 3-4 times higher than the European average. Because entrepreneurship in Europe in general is quite, I think it has the lowest numbers in the world. So yeah, I'll share some data on that as well.
Yes, please.
Sources, but it's the entrepreneurship rate level is very low in Europe. It's around, I think, 8% or something on average, while it's in India it's like 25-30%. In Sub-Saharan Africa it's I think even higher, 30-40%.
Do you think that this has to do also with the population difference?
Population, but also of course economic situations, like you don't really have the same access to support and the same safety net maybe. There's bigger pressure to make it yourself, in a sense. And that's also why we see like our service can make a bigger difference, a bigger impact in these markets, because the ecosystem, the supporting ecosystem, the incubators, the accelerators, all those organizations don't really have the same ability to reach out.
Maturity.
Yeah, but that's another part of it as well. They're just starting out, like using India as an example again. The government started focusing and investing in this ecosystem.
Yeah.
In 2018, 2019, and it's just now that you're starting to see some improvements in the ecosystem. So that's why there's I think big opportunity for us there.
Great. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I remember you had told me, but I wasn't sure. And when you told me that you were not getting into the US market, I thought,
I know that's a common reaction. Why not? That. But that's also like we're not excluding the US market.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure. But I understand that it's not the first target.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
I think it makes more sense that way as well, to, of course, develop our technology at the same time.
So I'm not gonna go for estimations and deadlines. I'm just gonna ask regarding the trends in the market that you have seen and anything that you have noticed. What would be the roadmap for Edventures for the next, let's say, 12 or 14 months?
So for this, let's start with this year. We're in this closed testing phase at the moment. We are talking to some organizations to do pilots also. That would be maybe later this year. So the plan is to use this closed testing phase and the pilots as time to build traction, basically, and use this traction to raise investment later on in this year. I would say later, second half of this year. And from there on, of course, finishing the MVP sometime, not talking about deadlines, but maybe hopefully at the end of this year. Great. And then from there, it's basically just building on the relations that we have with the pilots, but also use that as examples to acquire more customers, of course.
Okay, so who else is doing the same thing as you're doing?
So far, I haven't found anyone who does the same thing. You can say that people can use ChatGPT and so on, but that's not really. It's similar, of course, but it's not really what we are doing. We are more curated, more niche, and the whole experience around it is more curated. So it's another intent, another purpose that we create with the user experience as opposed to ChatGPT.
So that would be for direct competitors. So let's say that at this point, let's say that you're not doing the same thing as other people do, but indirect competition is probably more important, because indirect competition right now would be literally coach next door. It would be
everywhere. You have
like even. Sorry for interrupting. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's one of the most interesting interviews for me, because I have been having this problem for many, many years, especially coming from a village in an island in Greece. I'm telling you, man, things are not very easy here. And thank God I had the opportunity to be in Thessaloniki, which is, as you know, like
Yeah.
it's the let's say that the innovation and startup ecosystem is pretty, energetic and working. But I'm
Yeah.
telling you, for any person with the same needs as me, if they just stay here, they have
Mm.
zero opportunities for anything related to their full potential
Mm.
whatsoever. So, having been having this problem for years, I can tell you that I went to acceleration cycles, I went to incubators. I am a member of Startup Greece organization that we're having the talk
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
Maybe the best input that I ever got was from a podcast and books and YouTube.
Yeah.
So this is in direct competition, and that's where I think that's where the most people are heading to.
Yeah, and of course you have social media, you have other kinds of channels everywhere. You have search engines and so on and so on. So there are plenty of substitutes everywhere. But then you as an entrepreneur, you have to spend time going through all that. First of all, you have to find that information. You have to
Hmm.
find the book to you, and then you have to go through that information. Out of a 300-page book,
Yeah,
maybe you just find a few pages that are relevant to you and your
yeah,
needs,
yeah,
your situation.
yeah.
And we can fast forward all that with our service instead of you going through all the tons of information and Google searches and so on and so on.
So
And
competitive, you would say that in competitive advantage would be the fact that you're leveraging the AI technology in order to get uh, quicker the information that you need.
yes,
Second of all, you train the engine to tailor the answers to you.
yes, exactly. We personalize it.
Third, you don't need to schedule a meeting or pay tons of money
Fees. Yeah,
for coaching, because even this planning and scheduling and
yeah,
making it happen is also a very big component.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
And except for that, I understand that you're building also a community around it, which is supporting to its members.
Yes. So as a part of this closed testing phase, we're also building a like an early bird community, as we call it, and
Hmm.
that's kind of what we want to, bring in all the people that we building the service for,
Hmm.
to and give them a space to also connect with other entrepreneurs and to be able to help each other, but also for us to get input on the service that we are building, so that we can build something together with them and for them. Uh,
Hmm.
and so, of course, ensuring that we provide value to them as well.
Hmm. Hmm. And I assume that part of this diversification is also going to be part of your strategy to not allow yourself to get caught by other startups in the process. I could have asked this in a very much simpler manner, but I didn't for some
So
reason.
as well.
It's just, let's forget
So
about it.
you're asking basically about competition or future development.
Diversification.
Yes. So it's also a bit of a race. You have to kind of um, by building connections with early stage entrepreneurs, we also want to kind of cement this reputation that we are the
Yeah.
go-to
Hmm. Hmm.
organization for this type of entrepreneurs, and
Hmm.
use that as a baseline. And as they grow, of course, they're gonna get to know more people. They're gonna
Hmm.
grow as entrepreneurs, and they're gonna hopefully also reflect back on us. Um, but again, using this momentum that we have now, and then hopefully, if everything pans out as it should, hopefully do during this year, we'll also be in a better position to, um, you know, get more reach, like expand our reach, the pilots and all that. And then have I have through my alumni networks, also I would say a bit of an unfair advantage to organization, especially one organization that is working exclusively with entrepreneurship for younger people, who have about 10 million students every year that we can tap into
Nice.
gradually. So that's,
Nice.
yeah, that's really, really nice access. And
Good.
yeah, using that, tapping into that yeah.
Yeah, of course, I get it. Perfect. I'm gonna fast forward myself a little bit because I speak too much today, and I'm gonna ask about funding. Where are you currently? What do you need? Tell me.
So we're currently completely bootstrapped, living off of savings and just sweat and tears, basically. The plan is to raise funds during this year. First fundraise. I think it would be like second half of this year. So using the first half to build traction and to be in a stronger position to raise funds. And we're thinking somewhere in between, because we want to have a 24-month runway, so 2-year runway. Somewhere between 300 and 500,000 euros.
What's the ideal investor in this case?
Anyone who is interested in impact, social impact, tech, of course. Anyone who is working with future of job, future of employment, future of work, whatever you call it. Those types of industries. But then, of course, any angel investor or early VC that is interested in and can see synergies also. That's definitely interesting.
Great. And where would you be planning on utilizing the funds?
So it's gonna go straight into the team, basically. Allow our five-member team to work full time. Most of us are sort of working full time now, or in parallel with either studies or work. So that would be the main, main.
Makes sense. So I believe it's too early, but I'm still gonna ask it. Do you have an exit strategy?
No. It's like you said, it's way too early.
It's way too early. Yeah.
But then I also don't see. It's like having an exit strategy is like having, thoughts of getting a divorce as on the wedding.
No, I totally agree with you. Yes. Yeah.
So
since you talked about the team, and I believe we would agree that it's probably the most important components. Would you like to share some things about the 5 of you that are working on which roles and what's the relevant experience?
Yes, absolutely. So apart from me, who have like close to 10 years experience in grassroots entrepreneurship and community building and strong networks, and project management experience too, we have one full stack developer who has close to 2 years experience now. He's a data scientist. We have another data scientist who runs our AI development. He has over 8 years experience of work in this field. We have a very hungry product designer. She was a chartered accountant by education, but she changed careers quite recently, like a year ago. Has a great eye for design. And then we also have a very talented Flutter developer who does a lot of front end and will do
okay.
Yeah, Flutter is a framework, like coding framework.
Okay, it seemed just very, very unknown to me, so I had to.
Yeah, it's a cross-device. It's a cross-device framework, so it's very easy to the code base. But he's really skilled. He has about 2-3 years experience doing Flutter development. So I know we're all spread out, so everyone is working remotely. Has kind of the philosophy that I want to stick with as well. 2 of them are based in Canada. I'm based in Sweden. We have our AI lead who is based in Helsinki in Finland, and then we have also our Flutter developer in Chennai in India. So we have a great width, I would say, great spread of members, and also, of course, cultural understandings. And
I consider this a big advantage, because you can, as we said the other time we talked, it's great that you have input from so many different countries and you can like collect data from all of these places. It's really good.
Exactly.
Plus, you support the idea that a team doesn't necessarily need to stick to the old ways of making business.
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
Agreed. So what would you say that makes you a winning team? So, except for the fact that you're
We
scattered
covered
around the
it.
world.
Yeah, so
I
like we have the cultural understanding.
mm,
We're all very hungry. We're all very eager to learn as well.
mm,
Um, so it's a combination of having the cultural differences, the different connections, the very relevant experiences and training that we've had, also like academically, but also
mhm,
practically speaking. And it's a lot of, again, it goes back to hunger. Really want to get things done. I
mhm.
think that's very important as well.
Yeah, I believe it's very important too. Plus cultural understanding and also uh, ha- the same, let's say, vision for the end product. I also believe it's extremely important. And I believe that it's only fair that I use our last, let's say, 2 minutes of this talk in order for you to share anything that you would like about Adventures. And then I'm going to wrap it up.
Oh, that's good. Like, how long is a piece of string, sort of. I think we've covered most of it. We covered what it actually is. I think we covered a bit about the team, where we are at the moment, where we're heading. Yeah, but the only takeaway I would say, I would send to anyone listening to this, is, um, hopefully we'll add some link to the community.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. So join there. Otherwise, reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
I'm always active there. Just reach out anytime, any place, and I'll talk entrepreneurship with you.
That's
Um,
great. I believe I also want to make this call to action to everyone listening to us. Um, just stay until the end of the video because I believe it's extremely important to like digest all of this information and reach out to us wherever you want because we're interested in talking, collaborating, or like literally getting feedback. So that was all from me. I just want to thank you very, very much.